Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Monday. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. We are back to chat more about Everton's managerial situation and specifically today Rafa Benitez, and we're going to try and add a bit of positivity to the channel because there's been a lot of negativity over the last couple of weeks or so regarding Everton and throughout the Everton fan base, obviously with the departure of Carlo Ancelotti and then this long and tedious spell of looking for the new manager and looking for the replacement and trying to find somebody that's going to come in and A, be able to do the best job for the football club and B, galvanise the fans and get everybody together and singing off of the same hymn sheet. And the club seem to have come to their decision. Now, it hasn't been announced, of course, because it's not a done deal. As I said this on Friday afternoon. If Rafa Benitez was a done deal and it was completely and all utterly signed, then he'd have been announced by now. So obviously there's certain things that need to still be done, whether it's some admin work or whether it's certain things need signing off or certain discussions need to be had, whatever. But it does look very much like it's going to be Rafa Benitez who is the new Everton manager, and obviously that information has been the case for about the last week or so now. We've sort of known that it was only really going to be Rafa Benitez. There's only really been one name in the discussions over the last week or so, and that has been Rafa Benitez. Obviously earlier on in the process, during the first couple of weeks, after Carlo Ancelotti after Carlo Ancelotti's departure, we had a lot of names thrown in the hat, from Eddie Howe to Graham Potter. David Moyes was thrown in there, Christophe Galtier, Rafa Benitez, all of these different names, and we couldn't really put our finger on who it was going to be, or certainly who the leading candidate was at the football club. Let's not forget that 3 weeks ago, it was put out there by a lot of very respectable and reliable journalists saying that Nuno Espirito Santo was going to become the new Everton manager. He was on the verge of signing his Everton contract, and obviously that never happened. So we went through a period of various different names thrown in the hat and not really knowing where we were with the club or who the club wanted to choose. All of the different managers had different styles of football, different ways of playing, different levels of experience. Some had managed in the Premier League before, some hadn't, and it seems like now, 4 weeks tomorrow it is since Carlo Ancelotti left the football club, and it seems like now the club really have sort of nailed down their choice, their first choice, and it seems like it's going to be Rafa Benitez who is the new Everton manager. Now, obviously, like I said, this news has sort of had about a week or so to settle with Evertonians. We've known that it's likely going to be Rafa Benitez for about the last week or so, 10 days, 15 days, something like that. And obviously, at the start of this process, at the start of this, last a couple of weeks ago when we first found out that Rafa Benitez was the leading candidate and all those other names started to fade away a little bit. Christophe Galtier, you weren't really hearing him mentioned. Obviously, David Moyes signed his new deal at West Ham. Nuno Espirito Santo was completely off the mark. And any other name that was sort of thrown in the hat previously wasn't really being mentioned anymore, and it was solely Rafa Benitez. We had that time to allow it to sort of settle and digest, if you like. And obviously, it wasn't very good at the start. There was a lot of toxicity, there was a lot of negativity throughout the fan base. And as time's gone on with anything really, as, the dust starts to settle a little bit, is the old-fashioned saying, and things start to digest, a lot more fans, I don't want to say warming to the idea of Rafa Benitez becoming the new Everton manager, but certainly understanding that if that is the case, and if that's the eventuality, then we just have to sort of get on with it. And I've said it time and time again, that Rafa Benitez isn't my first choice. I just don't think he was the right man for the job. I don't think his football's good enough. He doesn't play nice attacking football like we all want to see. I just don't think he's at that level that we need for a manager to take Everton forward. However, I was never really too emotionally against it, like we're seeing some are, and we'll go on to talk about that in a little moment. But like I said, I was never, and still aren't to this day, fully 100% in on, yes, Rafa Benitez is the right man for the Everton job, because I don't believe he is. But in contrast to that, I didn't really believe Nuno Espirito Santo was. I didn't believe Eddie Howe was. I didn't believe Roberto Martinez was. David Moyes. I was unsure on Graham Potter. So there wasn't really one name that stuck out that I thought, yeah, he is the right man for Everton. Maybe Christophe Galtier, but obviously the massive elephant in the room with him was, well, A, that he's got no Premier League experience, and B, that he'd already agreed a deal in principle to join Nice. But as soon as Rafa Benitez's name was thrown in the hat, for one reason or another, whether it's the Liverpool connection, Whether it's the things he said about Everton in the past, whether it's because people don't believe he's a good enough manager or good enough to do the job, it received a lot more of a toxic atmosphere than any of the other names did. Let's have it right. Let's be honest with ourselves here. If Nuno Espirito Santo was the front runner and he was the only name that the press were talking about at the moment, or the only name that was being linked with the Everton job, yes, you'd still have a select group of fans that didn't want Nuno or don't think he's good enough, but you wouldn't have had the toxicity and the negativity that we're getting now with Rafa Benitez, and obviously we've seen over the weekend, the banners at Goodison Park once again. It started a week or so ago, didn't it, when we first sort of heard that, Rafa Benitez's name was in the hat. There was banners outside the Goodison Park, some quite derogatory and let's be honest, quite aggressive and absolutely no need for whatsoever, and some that were simply just getting their points across to the Everton board. And I said this on Friday, I really don't understand why anybody's frustrated with Rafa Benitez. Rafa Benitez is a man out of a job who has simply applied for the job that he will be getting paid good money for, and that hopefully he believes he'll be able to do a very, very good job at. That's all Rafa Benitez is in this situation. He's a normal human being who has applied for the job. If you're frustrated at anybody, and absolutely anybody, then it should be the board for entertaining the idea of bringing Rafa Benitez in, or for potentially offering him a contract and actually appointing him as the Everton manager. Why anybody is taking out personal frustrations with Rafa Benitez is absolutely beyond me. The fella has done nothing wrong in this situation, not one thing wrong. Forget about the comments he made 10 years ago, however long it was. Forget about the management of Liverpool, however long ago it was, whatever. In this current situation now, Rafa Benitez has done absolutely nothing wrong. He's done nothing wrong in this situation. He's applied for the job, and simply the board have entertained that. So if you've got any frustrations towards the potential appointment of Rafa Benitez, surely those frustrations should be towards the board. And we've seen some banners that were aiming theirs towards the board and weren't aiming it towards Rafa Benitez, and there wasn't any there wasn't any sort of personal attacks there. It was simply just expressing, the feelings towards the appointment. And like I said, I'm all for fans expressing their feelings towards various different situations at a football club. It's our football club. It's not Farhad Moshiri's. It's not Bill Kenwright. It's not Marcel Brands. It's our football club. Without us, the club is absolutely nothing. We'll still be here when Farhad Moshiri leaves. We'll still be here when Marcel Brands leaves. We'll still be here when all of those players leave. So it's our football club. So and I'm all for fans, having their voices heard and expressing to the board their opinions, but you've got to do it in a respectful way, and you've got to do it in a way that doesn't make the entire Everton fan base look like utter knobheads. Because let's be perfectly honest, the images that we've seen today going around social media, and I'm not gonna sort of talk about them in great detail, but the images we've seen going around social media today are absolutely disgusting, and it always gets to this point where it takes one step over the mark, and I don't even think this one's taken one step over the mark, to be honest. It's taken multiple steps over the mark, and it's gone past the point now where it's informing the board of our opinion or informing the board of their opinion, because it's certainly not the opinion of every Evertonian. Even those banners that just say no to Rafa Benitez, that isn't the opinion of the majority of Everton fans. That's the opinion of one Everton fan or maybe a group of Everton fans, but it's not the opinion of the entirety of Evertonians, because it's not, because there's some Evertonians that are happy with Rafa Benitez. There's some Evertonians that are sort of thinking, yeah, do you know what, bring him in, he'd do a decent job. So is one thing letting your opinions known to the board about a decision that they are making or might make or have said that they could make, and there's another thing personally attacking a man for no reason whatsoever. And then there's a further bloody line that was crossed in attacking his family and his close relatives for no reason whatsoever. It makes the club look like complete and utter knobheads. Let's have it right, it does. And I know it's only a minority, and I know there's been an outcry on social media of Evertonians saying this is disgusting. Whatever we think of the Rafa Benitez appointment, whether we want him in or we don't want him in, that is beyond over the mark, and I get that, and that's brilliant, because it's absolutely true. But it still is so much negative press in it, and there's still so many negative connotations, is that when opposition fans or when the media, who will jump on this like an absolute fly, like an absolute fly. I've just read a comment, like an absolute, they'll jump on it like a hawk when they get a hold of this. It won't be, one or two Evertonians have gone over the mark here and done something they shouldn't have done. It'll be Everton fans show their fury, and it just gives us a negative reputation, and that's exactly what we don't want, and that's exactly what we don't need. That's not Evertonians. That's not Everton Football Club. That's not us. Yes, we let our opinions known, and we're a club we were based, and our fan base that are based off pure emotion and pure, passion and fight, and that's brilliant, and that's what makes us what we are, and wouldn't swap that for a moment. But we're not a fan base of knobheads, and that banner today was it was classless. It was absolutely classless, and let's be honest, it was quite frankly disgusting. It was utterly disgusting. There's one thing letting a board know, how you feel about the situation, and there's another thing personally threatening a man and his family for no reason whatsoever. As I've said, Rafa Benitez, I don't care what anybody says, Rafa Benitez has done nothing wrong in this situation, whether we want him or not. And I know there's people in the comments that don't want Rafa Benitez at the football club still, now to this day, even after, all of the stuff with the banner, are still saying, no, we don't want him, he's not good enough, this, that and the other, or if you don't want him for his Liverpool connection, that's fine, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But there's not one Evertonian that could sit down and tell me that that's acceptable, because it's not acceptable. Rafa Benitez, there's not one Evertonian that can sit there and honestly tell me that Rafa Benitez has done anything wrong in himself in this situation. He's applied for a job that was available and that was obviously put to him to apply to. And that is being entertained by the board at Everton Football Club for right or wrong reasons. Everton might be sitting there going, well, he's the right man for the job. He's the best man for the job. He's the most experienced man. Now, the question of this live stream and the title of this live stream is, what if Rafa Benitez succeeds at Everton Football Club? What if Rafa Benitez comes in and within the first 12 months where, let's just say, because I've been guilty of this, by the way, I'm not putting it out on everyone else and saying, wow, look at this, that, and I've been guilty of this. I sat here a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and I mentioned a scenario that was a very negative scenario. It was about... Obviously, I didn't want Rafa Benitez as Everton manager, and to this day, I still don't think it's the right appointment, and I'm still not massively pleased with Rafa Benitez as Everton manager. But I said a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that what happens if, we've lost a few games in April, May time, whatever, we go into the derby and we're 2-0 down, and Liverpool fans are singing and screaming his name. Now, obviously, that was a scenario that would turn a lot of Evertonians against Rafa Benitez, and would mean that we'd have to start he'd probably be sacked, and we'd have to start the search for the manager again, midway through next season or next summer or whatever it is. But what I really should have done then, and this is my mistake, and I hold my hands up, what I really should have done then was think about the opposite situation to that. Think about what would happen if Everton, I don't know, in the top 4 or 5, challenging for those European places. We go to Anfield in April, is it? I think it's April, late April at the Anfield derby, and we beat them 3-0. And their fans are all up in arms because it's Rafa Benitez, and he's on the touchline giving it all that because he's Everton manager, and we're beating Liverpool 3-0 at Anfield. So there's two sides to every situation. There's two sides to every story. One side is that it might go terribly wrong, and that a lot of people will sit there being proven right, and a lot of people will sit there and say, what did we try and tell you? But there's another side to this, and that is, what if Rafa Benitez comes in and succeeds at Everton Football Club? What if Rafa Benitez is the first manager in, 30 years? Or nearly 30 years to win Everton a major trophy? What if he comes in next season and wins us the FA Cup? What if he comes in and wins us the Carabao Cup? What if he comes in and gets us 6th? What if he brings 4 or 5 really good players with him? The tactics are really good. We're playing great football. What if? Because that's all as much of a possibility as it is him coming in and being a complete and utter failure and being sacked by Christmas, or us losing to Liverpool and having the piss taken out of us. The one thing that this appointment is a risk. It's a massive risk. It's a massive risk for Everton Football Club to take, and they could have not taken this risk and gone with an appointment that a lot of fans would have gotten behind. Let's be honest. Out of all of those managers on that list over the last 2 weeks or so, is there really anyone on that list that we all sort of went, yeah, oh my god, he's number one, go out and get him? Might have been Christophe Galtier, but let's be honest, mate, what happens if Christophe Galtier turned round when he was called by Marcel Brands first and said, no, I'm not interested, mate, I want to stay in France? So take away Galtier from the situation. Every other name on the list, Graham Potter, there was loads of Evertonians that were against bringing in Graham Potter. Eddie Howe, loads of Evertonians against bringing in Eddie Howe, relegated with Bournemouth, of course. Who else was on the list? David Moyes. A lot of Evertonians against David Moyes. Who else was on there? Lucien Favre has just said he doesn't want a job in footy, so he's out the window. So there wasn't one name that everybody was going, right, get him. He's the best, go and get him. He's absolutely brilliant. Even Christophe Galtier, there were some Evertonians going, hang on. Have we all watched Lille game in, game out last season? I know they won the league, and that's great. But do we know that Christophe Galtier could come in and manage in the Premier League? And that's right. That's absolutely spot on. So I get it, and I get that Benitez is the biggest risk out of the lot. And to be honest with you, and I'm going to be completely honest with you all here, if Rafa Benitez takes the job, then I'll give him a round of applause. Because if he takes this Everton job after the stick that he's gone through, and after, obviously, like we said, some of the disgraceful banners today that were on show, that, Merseyside police are now involved with that situation. Merseyside police are investigating, the banners that were left outside home near where he lives. Quite ironic that what the banner says and the fact that they actually didn't get the right address. But Merseyside police are now involved in this situation. So if Rafa Benitez takes the Everton job off the back of all of this, then fair play to him, because he's got balls of steel. He's got absolutely bollocks of steel, and B, he obviously believes that he can do a good job with Everton. Rafa Benitez, whether we want him or not, and again, I've said it before, I don't think he's the right appointment. I don't think he's the right man for the job. But whether we want him or not, he's not just coming in to be Agent Rafa or to take the piss out of us or to get us relegated or this, that. There's as much chance, and I said this with Duncan Ferguson, there's as much chance of Everton winning the league with Rafa Benitez as there is with us being relegated. Because every team starts on 0 points at the start of the season. And where's the evidence to say we're going to get relegated? Where's the evidence to say we're not going to win the league? You could say he got relegated with Newcastle. I think, after he'd taken over midway through the season. In the same way, you could say, we're going to go and finish in the top 4, because how many times did he do that at Liverpool? He won a European Cup at Chelsea. So if he does take the job, he's got massive balls of steel, and fair play to him, because he's taken a job that he knows, and he will know, and Everton know this, that there is a large, I don't want to say majority or minority, but there's a large selection of Evertonians that are completely against the appointment of Rafa Benitez. What I would say, which is a little bit mad, but what I would say is that this morning, after those banners were published over social media, and again, I'm not going to talk specifically about them, I'm sure everybody's seen them. If you haven't and you want to, they'll be floating around social media somewhere. They're disgusting. It's threatening for a start, and it's violent. And what's the need to threaten a man's wife and kids because he's applied for the job? Can you imagine? Put this in any normal situation. Rafa Benitez is a human being. I don't want Rafa Benitez as Everton manager. I didn't want Rafa Benitez as Everton manager because I don't think he's the right man for the job. If he is to be Everton manager, I'll get behind him and I'll back the team. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again. I cannot subscribe to this mentality of wanting Everton to lose because the felon in the dugout isn't who we originally wanted. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense in my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and that's fine. And if you don't want to go to the game and you don't want to spend your money on Everton because you don't agree with it, that's absolutely fine. If you want to let your feelings be heard and be known to the board, then that's absolutely fine. But I just cannot understand this mentality of wanting Everton to lose because the felon in the dugout isn't who we all agree with. Absolutely fine if you don't want him, and absolutely fine if when he's appointed you say, I've got reservations around him. I don't think he's the right man for the job. But surely once that decision has been made and once that's out the way, surely we all just want Everton to do well. We all just want Everton to succeed. We all just want Everton to be the best we can be. Again, Rafa Benitez is a man applying for the job, and he's being threatened for it. Paul says, lad, if you don't make it banned, they will do F all and still appoint him. So more banners. Where's the threat? Well, the threat very literally is that it's threatening his family and his wife and kids for no reason whatsoever. Again, is directly abusing Rafa Benitez, getting the message across to the Everton board. Well, let me tell you the latest on this situation. The latest is coming from the Daily Mail, and this says that protests surrounding the appointment of Rafa Benitez appear to have fallen on deaf ears as Farhad, Moshiri and Rafa Benitez met again over the weekend. Moshiri and Benitez are enthused with the idea of turning Everton into a Champions League team. There you go. The latest on the banner situation is that Merseyside police are investigating a threatening banner apparently aimed at prospective Everton boss Rafa Benitez and was hung near his family home. And then Liverpool Echo said Merseyside police have confirmed they're investigating reports of a threatening banner that was left near the home of Rafa Benitez. The banner was left outside the wrong address. So people are saying, where's the threat in the banner? Listen, there's no direct threat, but if you read through the lines, you know, listen, it's a threatening banner. We can't sit here and say it's not a threat, it's not a threat. Read between the lines, look at what it's saying. It's threatening him for if he takes the job, you know, what's, you know, because consequences or whatever. I just, again, I don't agree with it, and some fans will agree with it. And the majority of fans on social media, like I said earlier on today, it's mad because this banner and these banners were set out to achieve one thing, and that was almost to scare Rafa Benitez away from Everton, or to scare Everton away from the idea of bringing in Rafa Benitez as new Everton manager. And it was also, I think they were also you know, put out there with the intent to again galvanise Evertonians to you know, come up against Rafa Benitez and against, you know, the appointment of Rafa Benitez, and it's actually gone the other way. I've seen more Evertonians over the last 2, 3, 4 hours or so who were backing Rafa Benitez coming in as Everton manager, who were almost saying, do you know what, that's gone one step over the mark, and if Rafa Benitez is to be the man, then whatever, we'll get behind him. I'm not saying back Rafa Benitez. I'm not saying support Rafa Benitez. I didn't back Sam Allardyce, I didn't support Sam Allardyce, but I never missed a game at Goodison Park whilst he was in charge. Because I back Everton, because I'm an Evertonian. I've been an Evertonian for 22 years of my life. I will be an Evertonian until the day I stop breathing. There's not one managerial appointment. I said it before, I don't care if it's Mr. Bean, Rafa Benitez, Graham Potter, Mr. Miyagi. I'm going to Goodison Park. And if people don't want to go, and people don't want to support, and people don't want to renew the season ticket, then that's fine, that's up to you. But I just cannot. And I know that some people will say, I don't want Everton to fail, but I'm not going because I don't support it. And that's fine, and that's their opinion, and that's absolutely fine, and that's the way they feel. But I cannot back this wanting Everton to fail and wanting Everton to lose because Rafa Benitez is in the dugout. But let me put this to you. Would you rather Rafa Benitez comes in, signs today, and is announced in an hour or so, and Everton finish 6th next season and win an FA Cup, and then he stays for a further couple of seasons or so, or we finish 11th again, achieve absolutely nothing, bang on mid-table mediocre, and he gets sacked at the end of the season? Because I just don't understand how anyone can want the latter. Surely we all want what's best for Everton. Surely we all want Everton to be a success. Surely we all want Everton to do as well as they can, regardless of who's in the dugout. We want Everton to be a success. We've just had Carlo Ancelotti, for fuck's sake. Carlo Ancelotti, one of the most decorated managers in football history. One of the best managers to ever manage this game, this sport. We finished fucking 11th, or we finished 10th, sorry. We finished 12th the season before with Carlo fucking Ancelotti. I don't even think God could stand on that sideline at Goodison Park and get a tune out of these players. So if it's to be Rafa Benitez, good luck to him. Because the majority of this Everton squad is nowhere near good enough to achieve anything. So if he gets a tune out of them, then he's done an unbelievable job, in my opinion. Whether we want him here or not, if that's a decision the club have made, people are entitled to their own opinions. People are entitled to not go the game. People are entitled to, you know, not buy the merchandise or whatever. But me personally, I'll still be supporting Everton because it's Everton. I don't support Rafa Benitez in the same way as I don't support Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I don't support Ben Godfrey. I don't support Luca Dean. Didn't support Carlo Ancelotti. I support Everton and everyone that falls under that Everton umbrella. Now, the question really is Rafa Benitez the right man for the job? Is he the right man to take Everton forward? And that's obviously a question that's massively up for debate at the moment and splits opinion massively, and that's fine. That's fair enough, because I don't believe that he is the right man for the job. I don't believe he's the right appointment. But I didn't believe Nuno Espirito Santo was the right appointment. But does that mean I'd go and hang up a banner next to his house threatening his family? No. Does that mean I'd, give me season ticket up and not go to Goodison Park if he was in charge? No. Now, I get that he doesn't have a Liverpool connection and that he hasn't said some derogatory things about us in the past, like Benitez has, and that's fine. like I said, that's fine. Aim your frustrations towards the board. If you're not happy with Rafa Benitez coming in as Everton manager, then surely we shouldn't be happy, or you shouldn't be happy with the board who have ultimately made that decision. Or seem to have made that decision anyway. Nothing's been announced yet. Nothing's been announced. Nothing's been obviously official. So we still don't know if it is Rafa Benitez. I would hazard the guess that it is, but we still don't know 100% if it is. But let's be honest, David Moyes has been Everton's most successful manager in my lifetime. He won fuck all. 22 years I've been an Evertonian. I've never seen Everton win a trophy. I've seen Everton get to one final, FA Cup 2009. We scored in the first 20 seconds and then got battered by Chelsea for the rest of the game. Our most successful manager is a manager that took us to fourth once. Didn't win a trophy with us, got us to one final, couple of semi-finals, into Europe, couple of seasons on the bounce. Since David Moyes left Everton Football Club, we've finished in Europe twice. That's it. No final. Maybe one or two semi-finals, ultimately in the Carabao Cup or whatever it is. But no finals, no trophies, fuck all. Carlo Ancelotti has just left Everton, having finished 12th and 10th in successive seasons. Are we really in a situation? And I get fans can be happy, fans can be unhappy, and fans can be against it. But are we really in a situation to wish the club don't succeed if he comes in? I don't agree with it. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but personally, I don't agree with it. If you're enjoying it, by the way, please hit that like button. And look, it's all about opinions there. So I know people are going to give me loads of crap in the comments and give me loads of stuff in the comments about, you're this, that, we don't want Rafa, you're wrong. But listen, it's all about opinions, and we can all have our own opinions and do it in a respectful way. And doing it in a respectful way is saying, Cam, I don't think Rafa Benitez is the right man for the job because he either plays negative football or he's been out of the country for a decade, or he's managed Liverpool before. I don't think he's the right man for the job. Sound, that's their opinion. We can do that without having to go and make and embarrass ourselves. Because let's be honest, it's sickening and it's disgusting, the banners that we've seen today. And again, I'm all for people allowing their voice to be heard, and banners saying or again, going to the board and saying we don't want Rafa Benitez as the Everton manager, we don't agree with it, blah blah blah. If you're doing it in a respectful way and it's nothing insulting towards the man himself, then that's fine. If you stick a banner outside the Goodison Park saying we're Everton, we don't want Rafa Benitez, or we're Everton, no to Rafa Benitez or whatever, then that's your opinion. You're allowing the club to be heard. Putting out messages that are derogatory or are insulting the man or are sending threats to a man who simply applied for the job is just, for me, it's massively distasteful, and it's just completely and utterly it's gone miles past the bar, and it's not what we are as a fan base. We're emotional, we love our football club, we engage in those emotions, and I get all of that, but we don't need to be knobheads with it. We really, really don't. And look, ultimately, I disagree with those banners completely. The police are now looking into it, so whoever's done it, could find themselves in some trouble. Who knows? But I completely disagree with it. And it just, again, it feeds into that negative toxicity of the situation. And some fans would say, well, yeah, Cam, if it wasn't, if Rafa Benitez wasn't in the conversation, there wouldn't be any negativity, there wouldn't be any toxicity, but that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse to be toxic or to send out threatening banners because a man has applied for the job and the club are potentially going to give him the job. That's not an excuse to put out banners like that. It's not. It's a reason for us to be frustrated at the board. Granted, it's a reason for us to be annoyed and to allow our feelings to be heard, yes, but doing it in a way that allows our feelings to be heard towards the board and not towards a man who's done nothing wrong in this situation. And again, I'm not a massive fan of Rafa Benitez. I'm not a massive fan of him whatsoever. I'm not a massive fan of his football, and I don't want him as the Everton manager. But if he is to be the next Everton manager, then so be it. It's settled, I've let it settle, and maybe that's what the club are waiting for. Maybe the club are waiting for it to settle. Maybe the club are waiting for it to, to digest for a little bit longer before it's announced. For me, I've sort of just come to terms with it now, and I've accepted that he's going to be the next Everton manager. whether you know what we think of it or not, he'll be the next Everton manager. And might he be a complete and utter failure? Yes, he might be. Of course he might be. But might he be a complete success? Who knows? Who is to sit here and tell us that Rafa Benitez won't win Everton a trophy? Let's be honest, it'd be the most Everton thing in the world for the next Liverpool manager to win our first trophy in nearly 30 years. Let's be honest. So who's to tell us? And let me put this question out to you. Rafa Benitez comes into Everton Football Clubs and wins an FA Cup or wins a Carabao Cup in the first year. Would you take that now, or do you still... If I was to say that's going to happen, and I know I can't say that, but theoretically, if I was to say that is 100% going to happen, would you take it now, or would you still not want Rafa Benitez? Let us know in the live comments below. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another one of those polls. I'm going to put another one of those polls in the comments to try and gauge everybody's thoughts and opinions on this. Will you back Rafa? Let's put another one of these polls in. So basically, if you're in the live comments, if you're watching live now, there should be a poll coming at you in about 30 seconds or so. You can vote on it. It's a simple question. Would you back Rafa Benitez if he comes in? No. Do you want him? No. Do you think he's the right man for the job? No. You know, do you love him, or do you want to get behind him? Would you back him if he comes in? Simple. Yes or no. 166 people watching in live. If you could get your votes in, that would be greatly appreciated. And we'll look at those before the end of the season. If you're enjoying as well, by the way, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second, and we will get into the live comments in a moment. But that's the question I sort of want to ask everybody at the moment is if Rafa Benitez is to be the next Everton manager, if Rafa Benitez, you know, if that decision is made and that decision is being made by the football club, what if he's a success? What if Rafa Benitez succeeds at Everton Football Club? Because, again, I understand that there's some people saying, oh, he won't have the club's best interests at heart, he'll just want to come in and take the mick because he's a Liverpool fan and this, that and the other. I don't believe that. If Rafa Benitez takes this job now, then he's obviously a very good professional, a top professional, because he's taken it on the back of not just criticism, not just doubt, but personal sort of threats and personal sort of, you know, let's be honest, this incest, which is not acceptable for me and shouldn't be happening. But regardless of whether it should or shouldn't, it's happening. So if he takes it, then he's obviously, well, he's got balls of steel for the start, and he obviously wants to be a success. He's not coming in for a laugh. He's not coming in for a joke. He's not coming in to go, wait, let me see if I can relegate Everton. Them lot across the park might start chatting that he is. Or if we lose a game or two, they might start saying, wait, he wants to get Everton relegated, this, that and the other. But let's not forget, without serious investment in this squad, without 5, 6, 7 players in the summer, Rafa Benitez isn't a magician. Carlo Ancelotti, one of the best managers in football in history, couldn't get a tune out of a lot of these players on a lot of occasions. So let's not forget that when Rafa Benitez comes in. Certainly, if we don't drastically improve the squad in the summer. But I don't agree with the whole that, you know, he doesn't want the best for the club. He'd be coming in and he wouldn't be interested, this, that, and the other. He'd be getting paid a lot of money, and I think Rafa Benitez will want to prove people wrong. He'll want to prove people wrong. He'll want to prove outsiders wrong that say he's not a good enough manager to build a team anymore. And he'll want to prove a lot of Evertonians wrong that say he's not good enough and this, that and the other, and he doesn't care, all of that. So, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't agree with Rafa Benitez coming into Everton, and I don't think he's the right man for the job. But if he does come in, I'll get behind him. Of course I'll get behind him, because I'll get behind Everton Football Club. I will, because my love for Everton is greater than my dislike or my hate for anything else. I do not care about Liverpool Football Club. I don't care about personal interests with them lot. I don't care about any other football club. My love for Everton outweighs my dislike or hate. I don't want to say hate because it's a strong word, but my dislike for anything else in this world. Certainly in footballing terms. And if Rafa Benitez is to come in, I hope he's a massive success. And I'll say it now, and I know I'm not the first Evertonian to say it, and I know I won't be the last, but I'll say it now. If Rafa Benitez comes in, I hope he is an absolutely monumental success. I hope to be sitting here in 12 months' time going, oh my God, we mightn't like him and he's ex-Liverpool, but look at the football we're playing, look at the players we've got, look at the trophies we've won this season. Look at where we're finished in the league. We're in Europe next season. We've won an FA Cup. Oh my God. And is that guaranteed to happen? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And let's be honest, if this squad of players and past league positions tell us anything, that's probably unlikely to happen, because It's a squad full of bang average players, and a lot of them aren't good enough to be here. But it doesn't mean that it won't happen. You know, we all thought Carlo Ancelotti was the man to get us into Europe, and maybe he would have been if he'd have stayed a bit longer. But let's be honest, the football we played under Carlo was abysmal. It was absolutely horrible to watch. Some of the results, the home form was disgusting. So, look, that's the question I'm asking, and that's the question I think we should all ask ourselves. Let's add a bit of positivity to this situation. If it's going to be Rafa Benitez, we can't do much about it whatsoever. I know the banners and people letting their opinions be known. Of course, until the announcement is made, people will still say, yeah, well, we can change the mind of the board. We can change the mind. Personally, I think the decision's being made. I do. And I think it's a matter of time. It's a matter of if and not... Well, sorry, it's a matter of when and not if. But I might be wrong. I don't know anything that nobody else knows. It might be a complete and utter different situation. The club mightn't have made the decision yet. The club might be looking at fans' protests or the banners and going, no, actually, we're not going to go for Benitez because of this. But if they do go for Benitez and it is to be him, then let's just put it... Firstly, let's put it aside and go, right, let's go and bring in some players now, because we still need a right back, by the way. Word to everybody out there, we still need a right back. We haven't signed a right back. We still need a winger. In fact, 2 wingers. We need another centre midfielder. We probably need another centre half. So there's bigger issues than just the manager and who it's going to be. This squad, unless serious investment, this squad won't get anywhere next season. So anyway, yeah, there you go. Let's get into some of the comments again before we move on. I know it's a very split in opinion, and I get that and I understand it. If you are enjoying though, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. James has donated £4.99 to the stream. Thank you very much, James. Really do appreciate that, my mate. It means a massive amount to me, honestly. Thank you very much. And Liam Napper has donated £4.99 as well to the stream. Thank you very much, Liam. Again, really appreciate that. He says, get a pint on me, Cam. Do you reckon Rafa can still attract decent players to us? I personally think players wouldn't turn their nose up at him. Thank you very much, Liam, and thank you very much, James, as well. James didn't write a message. If you want to throw a message in there, James, let us know, and I'll get straight onto that. Don't forget, by the way, to vote in that box. 87 votes, 165 watching. If you could get those votes up, it would mean a great deal. The question is, will you back Rafa? Not do you want him, not do you think he'll be a success, not do you, is he is he your number one choice? If he comes in, will you back him? That's the question. Let us know, yes or no, in the live comments now on that poll. But yeah, just to answer your question, Liam, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't particularly think it's about attracting big name players. I think we need to move away from this. We need a manager that attracts big name players, because we've just had one. We had Carlo Ancelotti. He attracted James Rodriguez, one of the biggest sports athletes on the planet. Take football away for a moment. One of the biggest, and in terms of global fame, one of the biggest athletes on the planet. Now, James Rodriguez, I think, had a decent season last season, but he had a season that I think we all expected, which was that he'd play 25 games, 24 games, something like that, and then he'd spend the rest of the season out injured. He missed a lot of key games, he missed every game with fans in the stadium, and he left, I wouldn't say a bitter or a sour taste in Evertonians' mouth at the end of the season, but he certainly left a taste of disappointment, I'd say, in maybe a lot of Evertonians' mouths, because of some of the games he missed and because of his injury record. He is now being heavily linked with a move away from Everton Football Club. AC Milan are heavily linked with him. There was some rumours yesterday which even went as far as to state that AC Milan are in advanced talks with James Rodriguez. Let me get those rumours up before we move on, because I don't want to misquote them. Here we go. Marca, who are a Spanish publication, said that James Rodriguez is in advanced negotiations with AC Milan. And this obviously comes after rumours last week, which said that James Rodriguez's agent, who is Jorge Mendes, who of course probably isn't very happy with Everton at the moment because they didn't employ his best mate in Nuno. James Rodriguez's agent is pushing for a move for him. James Rodriguez's agent is trying to get him a move away from Everton Football Club, and there's other rumours to state that James wouldn't be opposed to that either. So for as good as James was last season when he played for Everton, he missed a lot of games through injury. He frustrated a lot of fans at times, and he mightn't be here next season. So the big name players that Everton at the moment can currently attract, which the big name players that Everton can currently attract at the moment are players coming towards the end of their career with massive injury problems or injury histories, and ultimately at times when they'll probably be able to offer us something but not what we need. Let's be honest, for people say, can Rafa Benitez attract the best players? Well, who are the best players that people want Everton to attract? Because we're not attracting Erling Haaland, because we're Everton. We're not in Europe. He's never coming. We're not attracting Kylian Mbappe, Because with Everton, we're not attracting Romelu Lukaku, although he's been here before, he's not coming back. We're not attracting, I don't know, Jadon Sancho. These are all top players, big name players, best players in the world currently. We're not attracting any of them. So the only big name players, Everton, and that's not because of manager, by the way, that's because of where Everton are as a club. We're not attracting those names because of where Everton are as a club. Now, the only big name players Everton might attract are players that are probably 27, 28, 29, something along those age ranges, if not even, older than that. Had real injury problems over the past 4 or 5 years or so, struggling to get any game time at the team that they're currently in, and wanting to drop down to Everton to have a massive payday, and basically join a team that, they'll be lauded at for a few years or for a few weeks, and then people will start to go, actually, do you know what? Maybe he wasn't what we need. The big name players Everton can attract are players that will be coming in on hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, and are exactly what Everton don't need. So for me, Everton don't need big name players, because the big name players out there that would massively improve Everton will never come to Everton, because we're Everton and we are where we are. Whether we like it or not, we can sit here and go, oh, we're the biggest club in the world, we're the best. We're not the best team in the world, we're not the biggest club in the world. So the big name players that are at the top of the game now, that are going to improve teams and make teams brilliant, are coming nowhere near Everton. Let's not get it twisted. They're coming nowhere near Everton. So the big name players we can attract are of the likes of James Rodriguez, who's been a success for the season, but spent a lot of it out injured and might be leaving at the end of it. I wouldn't even say Alan's a big name player. So for me, I don't think we should be going at big name players. I think we should be going at players that are young, hungry, athletic, physical, fast, have got Premier League experience, or not necessarily got Premier League experience, but can fit into the Premier League, suit the Premier League and how fast it is, and skillful, agile, and I've got a point to prove. Young, hungry players with a point to prove, or players, Hernandez mentioned in the comments, someone like Jesse Lingard, guys that haven't made it at big clubs, someone with a point to prove. Now, Jesse Lingard went to West Ham with a point to prove. I remember being linked with Jesse Lingard, and I went, no, don't want him. He's absolutely shite. He's been shite at United. He's not good enough. I don't want him. But he went in there at West Ham with a massive point to prove. A point of, I am a very good footballer, and I'm good enough to be part of a team that's challenging to be the best it can be. And he's just been part of a West Ham side that finished, 6th in the Premier League, and will be playing European football next season. Albeit he mightn't be there, but he'll go back to Man United going, look at what I've done. I think he scored 9 goals, 10 goals, 11 goals, something like that in the second half of the season. And he proved to the world that he's still a very, very good Premier League player. Whether he's good enough for Man United or not is a different question. But that doesn't mean he's not good enough for a West Ham or an Everton. So we need players that have got a massive point to prove and a chip on the shoulder, that have actually got a lot of quality as well and a lot of talent, or young, hungry players that are coming up from championship sides. Villa have just signed Emi Buendia from Norwich. Sorry, from Norwich. Villa have just signed him. Villa signed Ollie Watkins from Brentford last season, come into the Premier League. Big questions, can he do it in the Premier League or not? Brilliant player, absolutely brilliant player. Again, we signed Ben. It was Everton's player of the season last season, barring Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It was Ben Godfrey. He come in from Norwich. It wasn't James Rodriguez, although James was good and had a decent season. He wasn't player of the season. It wasn't Alan, who had a decent season when he was on. He wasn't player of the season. It wasn't Decore. It was Ben Godfrey, a 22-year-old centre-half who a lot of Evertonians at the time went, why are we spending 20 million on this lad? Coming from Norwich and come up and was absolutely brilliant. So they're the type of players we need to go for, mate, not big name players, because the big name players that Everton can attract are exactly the type of players we don't need. John Parr says, guys on AFTV reckon DCL is going to Arsenal. Well, they're deluded then, because he's not going to Arsenal. Why would he go to Arsenal? It's a backward step. Or it's certainly, it's not a forward step. It's either a backward step or a sideward step, put it that way. Tazu says, Cuckoo Land. Pterodactyl says, Rich gets more. Rafa can afford bed sheets, but fans keep giving him some for free. Hernandez says, Dennis, ask Moise Keane how it went for him. We're a stepping stone team to the next big move. But I don't necessarily I'm not massively against being a stepping stone club. Leicester are a stepping stone club. Players go to Leicester, play really well, and then leave them and move on to better clubs. Mahrez, Kante, Maguire, Chilwell, maybe even Maddison this summer, which is being rumoured a lot. So, Leicester are a stepping stone club, as you would say. Lille in France are a stepping stone club, just won the league. So if you were to say to me, right, can Everton become a stepping stone club? That would mean that in order for players to come to Everton and then take a positive step or a step forward, that means that they'd have had to drastically improve Everton. And all does Everton have to do then is go out and bring in a player that can come in and replace them. Exactly like Leicester have done. Leicester are signing Boubacar Samari, who's a fantastic midfielder, loads of energy, be brilliant in the Premier League. Now they're bringing him in to replace Wilfred Ndidi or Youri Tielemans when one of those two leaves. Now, one of those two mightn't leave this summer, but Boubacar Samari is there to step into their shoes when they do leave. That's how Everton need to do. Our recruitment is shocking. It's reactive, not proactive. There's no plan. There's no, right, okay, well, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin mightn't leave Everton this season. John says Leicester's recruitment has been amazing. It has. Don't forget to vote on that poll, by the way. Will you back Rafa if he comes in? Yes or no? It's in the live comments. If you're watching live, get your votes in. Leave a like as well if you're enjoying it. That thumbs up button, it only takes a second. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Like I said, that's what Everton need to be doing. I don't think Dominic Calvert-Lewin will leave Everton this summer. I don't. I really, really don't. However, he might leave next summer. He might leave the summer after. He might leave in the January after this summer. He might leave at any point in the coming, few weeks or months, something like that. Months or years. Maybe not this summer, but maybe next summer. Now, if Everton were really clever, what they'd do is they'd look at Dominic Calvert-Lewin and they go, okay, you might stay another year. And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin might go into Everton and go, look, I'm happy to give you another year, but if you don't finish in Europe, then I want out. Now, if I was Everton, I'd go to Dom, sound. And what I'd say to Marcel Brands is, well, firstly, I'd say what's happening with my scheme. Is he staying or is he not staying? And secondly, I'd say to Marcel Brands, right, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's just told us that he wants to be here for another year. So, go out and bring in a striker that we can mould, that can get some good experience this year, that we can battle with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and then if Dom does leave, we can just bring him straight through. So it's that natural progression. So we're not in a situation next summer where we sell Dom and we go, shit, what do we do now? Oh, let's go and buy another Sandro Ramirez, because that's exactly what we need. We go, okay, we've sold Dom. Bit frustrating because he's a very good player, but we've got this lad who's already been at the club a year, who's been brilliant last season in the Premier League, in and out scoring goals. We'll just promote him through, and then we'll bring in another striker who can come in and be the backup to him and promote him through when this one moves on. It's all about a wheel, and the wheel has to carry on spinning. And Everton's wheel spins and then stops, and then we try and get it spinning again, and sometimes it spins backwards, and sometimes it doesn't really spin, and then it stops again. It needs to be a constant movement, and that is a constant spread. Listen, if an Everton player wants to leave, if Richarlison wants to leave this summer, then we should have had somebody in to come in and replace Richarlison straight away. Whereas now, if a Dominic Calvert-Lewin leaves this summer or says to Everton, I don't want to be here, we're now in a situation where we're going, shit, we've got to go out and bring in a really good Premier League striker who can do a fantastic job at Everton, because, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's leaving and we haven't got a striker to replace him. And that's, like I said, it's reactive recruitment and not proactive recruitment. And it's part and parcel, not the only reason, but it's part of the reason to why Everton haven't succeeded in recent years. It really is. If you're enjoying, by the way, hit the like button. Let's get into some of the comments at the top of the scene. Then Jack the Lad says, and it didn't work out, that proves we need to try something. Big dunks time. Interesting, very, very interesting. James says, banners were a sad thing to do. The man has a family just like us. I'm not backing him, but that's for whatever happens, we need to back the lads. Yeah, there you go, exactly. We're all Evertonians, aren't we? We all go to game. I know there's that saying, Everton, aren't we? But we're Everton, aren't we? We're all still going to watch Everton. We're still going to go to the game. We're still going to support Everton because we're Evertonians. We're not Rafa Benitez fans. We're not Carlo Ancelotti fans. We're Everton fans. Everton will still be here if Rafa Benitez is the manager or not. And we should still be here supporting Everton because it's our football club. And I know I'll still be here supporting Everton because even if Rafa does come in, it's not going to be enough for me to walk away from Everton, put it that way. But if that's how people are feeling and that's enough for them to walk away, then that's fine. Paul says the older support with all the be like what is going on. I've been a support longer than 20 years, Cam. We've got history. We've got more history to hate this happening, lad. Fair enough. Jack says, why would you rather Benitez over Dunk? I'm beyond confused. I personally wouldn't. I'd rather Dunk over Benitez, but the club obviously don't want that. So, and again, it's now. I feel like we're getting to that point, and don't get me wrong, nothing's official and nothing's been confirmed yet, so we're very much not at this point yet, but I feel like we're getting towards this point where it's I'd rather him than him, or I'd rather him than Benitez, or I'd rather Dunk than Benitez becomes irrelevant, really, because if it's going to be Rafa Benitez and he's going to be announced, then it's Rafa Benitez and he's announced and he's the new Everton manager. So regardless of who we'd rather, doesn't really matter anymore. It's then about, are we backing him or are we not backing him? And I'm backing Everton. And if he is part of Everton, then he falls under that. Then it says, mate, our debts have trebled under Moshiri. Just all clubs have these billionaire leeches. Pterodactyl says, every manager mentioned could win us something, except how, obviously. Well, good. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because would Roberto Martinez win us something? I don't know. Be interesting if he wins the Euros, wouldn't it? With Belgium, that'd be really, really interesting. It would. But look, there you go. Pterodactyl says Big Sam got higher placed with a worse team than Carlo. Exactly. Ian Buck says spot on, kid. Joshua says he cleared 400 million's worth of major debt. We are building a 500 million pound stadium, but sure, let's not have an owner who's signing with average players. Jay says hated is a strong word. Paul says Cam, this is the only way the board listen. Do they though? Because according to some rumours today, the board have just completely turned a deaf ear to it. So what, will they listen? Or is it just... And it's not... Putting, again, like I said, I've not got anything... Or I'm not massively against the idea of... Or I'm not against the idea of letting your thoughts be known to the club. If that's banners, if that's, protest, I'm not against in whatsoever the idea of letting your opinions be known towards the board. What I am against is being vile, being abusive, and being threatening towards a man who simply has applied for a job. Towards anyone, but certainly towards a man who hasn't done anything wrong in this situation. It's baffling for me. James says, we're the likes people. Thank you very much, James. Barry says, because Benitez has managed the clubs before and wouldn't be getting the job because of a blue light dunk. He's getting it in spite of being a rival's legend. Kev says, can't stand Rafa. That's fair enough. Big Nozza says, some fans are cowards. They need to get a life and stay off. I say Rafa gets our full support, whether he's the right choice or not. It's either going one way or the other. Well, that's it. It is either going one way or the other, isn't it? And I don't think he's the right man for the job. So I think that we could be sitting here in 12, 18 months' time having the same conversations about who comes in as the new Everton manager. But I could be wrong. Again, title of the team. What if Rafa Benitez was a success at Everton? Why can we not start looking at this in a bit more of a positive light now? Especially if it's going to be Rafa Benitez and he's going to be the new Everton manager. I'm not saying we all have to agree with it. I'm not saying we all have to back it and be like, oh yeah, he's boss. He's the best thing ever. Let's start making songs up about him. No, not saying that. But is it too much for us to sit back and go, well, actually, do you know what? What if he's a success? What if he comes in and proves a lot of people wrong? I said it a week ago, his bar is very low. Rafa Benitez's bar at Everton is very low because a lot of Evertonians at the moment are completely against the appointment and don't think he'll be able to do a good enough job. So what if he comes in and he does an absolutely brilliant job at Everton? What if he's a success? What if he wins us a trophy? What if he gets us in Europe? What if he improves the squad drastically? What if what if we forget in 6 months' time that he's even managed Liverpool because we're going, oh my God, he's absolutely boss. The football's boss. We're winning games of football. We're that difficult to beat. What happens if that's the situation? Now, Rafa Benitez has had pasts of falling out with boards and falling out with directors of football, and there's a lot of negatives to this appointment. There is. But there's positives as well in terms of that he's a great tactician. He's obviously won a lot of trophies in his career, including major European trophies. And if he gets the job and if he takes the job, he very, very clearly has got the backbone and the bottle to be able to put up with Evertonians' pressure. And I don't think that can be said about a lot of managers. Jay Dunn says, well said, Cam. Reality check for all. Jack the Lad says he's still gonna have a soft spot for Liverpool. It just can't work. It's impossible, like Lampard managing Lampard managing Arsenal. Well, that maybe, look, maybe, but Rafa Benitez, for, there's 38 games in the season. For 36 of them, Liverpool don't even come into the equation. He's not involved in a game that involves Liverpool. He's involved in a game that involves Everton against, Brentford, or against, is it Brentford? Did Brentford come up? I can't even remember. Yeah, I think Brentford come up, didn't they? Or against, Brighton, or Burnley, or Man United, or Chelsea, or Arsenal, or Palace. So, again, Celta Vape says, Moyes won the respect of fans but threw it away. James says, 95, 9 years old. I was Tony Cottee haircut. Full kit, best day cam. There you go. Barry says, I don't know what people have against Rafa, to be honest. He was a manager of our rivals and said one thing. How many things the fans say about clubs and players? He was their manager. There you go. Everton FL says, Ferguson wouldn't last 3 months. Basic Trigonometry says, I don't care who's driving, I just want us to get better. Exactly, I don't care, and I agree. Basic Trigonometry, I don't care who is driving the truck, or who is driving the train, or who is driving the wagon, as long as we get to the destination. And let's be honest, you could say to me, Rafa Benitez comes in now, Cam, and Everton get to where they want to be in 3 years, Champions League winners, winning trophies, this, that and the other. Or Graham Potter comes in and Everton spiral off and are dead crap again for another year. He gets sacked, Eddie Howe comes in, you go further off the track, somebody else comes in, you carry on further off the track. I'd say, well, although Rafa Benitez has managed Liverpool and said some derogatory things, if he's the right man for the job, then I want him in because he's the right man for the job. I don't agree with the appointments, and I personally don't think he's the right man for the job. But if that's what the board have decided, and that's the board's decision, then we have to sit back and go, well, okay, let's wait and see what happens then. And if he's not the right man, then we have a serious conversation about the board and the board's ability to pick the right manager for Everton. Liam says, I want Rafa when the stadium starts being built. That's when teams start falling down the table, and we need a manager who can get us points every game. Kev says, Rafa has no loyalty. He's done nothing for years, hanging around Newcastle, playing 5 at the back, then China. There you go. Everton FL says Ferguson will be gone by the middle of October. I don't agree with that, but fair enough. Barry says, if Rafa's being appointed, that alienates the kind of scumbags that put that sheet up, then I'm all for it. Paul says, always want Everton to win games. Don't care how that win is. Got to be it by attack and flair or defensive digging in. And if Rafa gets those wins, well, he can stay as long as he likes. Exactly. And Andy says, we haven't succeeded at anything. Emotions aside, with a mid-table team that overperform every other month, we aren't getting a world-class manager because we aren't a world-class team, and that's another very good point. Toffee Gill says those pictures of fans don't speak for us all. Of course they don't speak for us all. Of course they don't. Leanne says, Cam, don't apologise for that banner. Don't apologise, that banner was a step too far. Put all the banners you want. No threats or personal attacks. Just say no to Rafa if that's what you want. Minority dragging the club through the mud. Can't agree more. Liam says, I can tell you one thing for certain, whoever it is threatening unabusing Rafa is out of order. It's not like he wants to take us down. The man wants us and himself to succeed. Just remember our motto. Very good point. Kev says Everton are so desperate and willing to ignore all rivalry to get them all gone. Well, listen, I'm desperate to succeed. I'm desperate for Everton to succeed, and if that means ignoring rivalry for Everton to be a success, then that means ignoring rivalry for Everton to be a success. So, there you go. Let's look at the votes then. Currently at 81% for yes. 160 people have voted. If you haven't voted, get your votes in. We're going to finish the stream up in about 4 minutes or so. So get your votes in if you haven't voted so far. It's simple. Will you back Rafa if he comes in? No. Do you think he's the right man for the job? No. Do you want him in? No. Do you think he can come and make Everton a success? Simple question. If Rafa Benitez is announced by Everton tonight, will you be backing him and will you be backing Everton? Or are you a blue that thinks, no, that's it, done and dusted, I'm not going anymore, I'm not renewing my season ticket, I'm not buying anymore, merchandise, whatever? Let us know your thoughts. Simple, yes or no, in the comments. It's in the poll, and like I said, we'll be finishing that up in about 3 minutes or so let us know. Jay Dunn says, nothing but a winner will be good enough for Everton, and we've got no time for ups and commas. Josh says, look, people need to get over the fact Rafa said we are a small club at the time. He was a Liverpool manager and of course wouldn't know he may become the next Everton manager in a year's time. Again, I'm not the reason I don't want Rafa Benitez at Everton isn't because of that. The reason I don't want Rafa Benitez at Everton is because I don't think his football's good enough and I don't think he's the right man to take us forward. But I could be proven massively wrong. As I've said, what if he succeeds? What if he is the right man to take us forward? And I think that's what we all Again, I'm not going to say should, because I'm not going to tell people how to feel or how to think, because that's everyone's entitled to their own thoughts, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, of course they are, and everyone will think and feel how they feel, and that's right. That's what football's about, differences in opinions and differences of thoughts. But personally, for me, as LaFleur says, it's just the fact he's not a top manager anymore. It's not the Liverpool ties I'm bothered about. That's my opinion, mate. And I'm not by all means, I believe Rafa's the best man for the job. He's going to do a brilliant job. We're going to win all sorts. That's not where I stand. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't think Rafa Benitez is the right man for Everton. But if he is to come in, I'll get behind him and I'll get behind the team. Because I'm an Evertonian and I get behind Everton and I want Everton to succeed. I won't be wanting Everton to lose so he gets sacked, because that's a nonsense in my opinion. I want Everton to win every single game of football regardless of who's in the dugout. And the big question, like I said, is what if he is a success at Everton? What if he comes in and he wins us a trophy? What if he comes in and we finish in the top 6? What if he comes in and we challenge for the top 4 and we actually become a Champions League challenger team? What if Rafa Benitez comes in and is the manager Everton have been needing since David Moyes left the football club? Because if he's not, then ultimately he just goes in that pile of, with Marco Silva, with Carlo Ancelotti, with Sam Allardyce, with Roberto Martinez, with Ronald Koeman, that pile of managers that aren't the right man for the job and aren't the manager to take Everton to that next step. And then we seriously sit down and have a talk about the board and the board's capabilities of picking the right man for the job. So if he's not the right man, then he just gets added to that pile, that list of managers that have failed at Everton and have not been the correct appointment. And there'll be a lot of Evertonians that go, told you so, he wasn't right, this, that and the other. Fair enough. But what if he is the right man for the job? What if he is the man to take us forward? The reason I believe Everton have gone for Rafa Benitez, or will be choosing Rafa Benitez, is because I think that he's the easiest replacement for Carlo Ancelotti. I think he's very like for like as to Carlo Ancelotti. We're going to end the poll in a moment, by the way, so last chance to get your votes in. Get your votes in now, and then we'll end the poll in a second. I just think he's the easiest replacement for Carlo Ancelotti in regards to just plays similar football, not similar CV, obviously Carlo's won a lot more, but a CV, a rich CV with European titles on there and titles in various different countries, and obviously he's a well-respected manager and he's a good tactician, similar to Carlo Ancelotti. Graham Potter would have been a brilliant choice for me, however, obviously it'd be the start of a new project, it'd be another risk for Everton, because they'd have to ultimately, again, put the faith in a manager that's going to come in and basically start everything again. And I don't think that's what Everton wants. Anyway, let's end the poll there then, and we will look at the results in a second before we finish up. Pterodactyl says we've got a list of 40. Jack the Lad says he's getting the chance. Evertonians will win. Liam says currently Everton's squad isn't that much behind than Brighton's, then Potter's tactics can take us to 6th, potentially. There you go, the votes are in. Not too sure how that works, because they don't add up to 100, but we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Out of 177 people who voted on the poll today, will you back Rafa? Simple question. Not do you want him, not do you think he's the right man for the job? Simple question. If he comes in, will you back him? 80% said yes, and it says 19% said no. Obviously that doesn't add up. Let's say 20% said no, 80% said yes. So we can already see that this is starting to digest and settle into a lot of Evertonians' minds. And whether we agree with the appointments or not, you can start to see that a lot of Evertonians are now in that mind frame of, if it's to be Rafa Benitez, let's just get behind the club and let's just get behind the team. If you don't want to get behind Benitez, get behind the players and get behind Everton. If you want to get behind Benitez, get behind the whole club in itself. Because what's the point in wanting Everton to fail because of a certain manager in the dugout? I don't want Everton to fail. I don't think Benitez is the right man for the job, but I hope, and I honestly, I'm 100% truthful when I say this, I hope that he's a resounding success at Everton. And what if he is a success at Everton? What if he comes in and he wins us our first trophy? What if he comes in and he gets us into the top 6 in his first season? It could all happen. Like I said, it's not been announced yet. And we will have the latest breaking news when it does get announced, if it does get announced, of course, because again, you never know with football. Anything can happen in football. Let me just make sure there hasn't been any further information since then. No, latest on Hammers, if anyone's interested, is that AC Milan have made it to know to Jorge Mendes that they are interested in James Rodriguez. Negotiations with Everton will start next week. So there you go. Listen, not massively surprised by that one, to be honest. If you're asking me brief opinions on it, I can't say I'm surprised. If he goes, he goes. Hopefully Everton grow a pair of balls with AC and go, we want Rafael Lau. We'll have Rafael Lau, you have James Rodriguez, and we'll give you 10 million or something. Done and dusted. Hopefully they don't just let him go for free, because there's a clause in his contract to say that if a certain team in Italy comes in for him, he can go for nothing. But anyway, look, there you go. We're going to finish it there then. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. Peter says, I agree with you, Cam. Idiots make Everton fans look bad. I wasn't for Rafa, but I'll back him because it's done now. Well, it's not officially done, but it looks that way, doesn't it? Dennis says, thanks, Cam. Cheers, Dennis. Tazul says, Rafa will do well here. Let's hope so. If he does come in, let's hope so. Liam doesn't want Graham Potter. Other Liam says, Graham Potter couldn't handle Everton. He said he struggles with Brighton criticising him. Imagine what it'd do to him in Everton. There you go. Well, look, again, and if there's one thing Rafa Benitez has really got going for him, it's that he can very clearly put up with a lot of criticism. If he signs on that dotted line and becomes Everton manager, then he's not going to be rocking in the corner when we lose a couple of games. Liam Munro says, cheers, Cam. Cheers, mate. Got the golfer says, manager of the month, first month nailed on. Let's wait and see. Daniel says Potter won't get a club bigger than Spurs or Everton, and Liam O'Donnell says that's scary that 20% of our fan base won't back the manager. Well, look, that's opinions, isn't it? Opinions are opinions, and we'll wait and see on those. Whammy says he has bonuses in his contract for getting better positions and winning stuff. Tazio says Stuff Hammers was never interested in Everton. The golfer says Rafa manager of the month, first month nailed on. Jack the lad says Barry, you've been supporting Everton for how many years? That's what I was saying on Toffee TV. The older fan base. Fate just beats hard. You ain't seen Everton succeed in your time. I don't agree with that, but there you go. LaFlame says cheers, Cam. Cheers. Philip says sorry I'm late. Sorry, Phil. You've missed the stream, but hopefully you can catch up. I do apologise, Phil. Jay Dunn says I want Rafa on your blog, Cam, if he gets the job. Well, maybe that'll be it. Maybe Rafa Benitez will say, look, in order to appeal to more Evertonians, I'll go on. He probably won't say I'll go on the Mighty Blues because he probably doesn't know who we are, but maybe the club will say, go on Toffee TV or go and have an interview or sit in front of the camera and talk about the future. And that's one thing I do think Everton need to do. If it is Rafa Benitez and it's done and dusted, get it confirmed, get it announced, and hopefully have him and Marcel Brand sat in front of a camera explaining the process, or just Everton, someone at Everton, Marcel Brands or someone else sat in front of a camera saying, this is why we appointed Rafa, this is where we want to go in the future, we believe he's the right man for us to do that. And I think a lot of Evertonians will then go, okay, let's wait and see what happens. And Anders says, I hope he does well, I really do. I've been at this channel since before he had 1,000 subscribers, and I've been through all of the coaches with Cam. Channel makes it a bit more bearable. Thank you very much, Hernandez. I really, really do appreciate that, mate. Honestly, you haven't. There's a lot of people in the comments that have been here for a long, long, long time. Just hit 4,500 subscribers, nearly at 4,600 now. Obviously, we are aiming towards that 5,000 mark before the start of next season. So, yeah. Please do subscribe if you are new. If you've enjoyed this one, leave it a like. Big thanks to everyone in the live comments. Really appreciate joining live. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below as well. Jay Dunn says, great blog, Cam. Cheers, Jay. And yeah, I'm off to revise for my car theory test because I've got it at 7 o'clock and I've got to go and get my head down and get a bit more revision in because hopefully I pass. But there you go. Big thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with another live stream, so don't forget to join us for that one. And yeah, let's just wait and see what happens. Big thanks for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon.